And we are live on the United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans. How cool is that? And we're also live streaming wherever else podcasts live. So we're not hard to find. I'm very excited to be here with you guys. I hope everyone had a wonderful and safe and fun Halloween and a happy All Saints Day. And I hope everybody has a blessed Saints Day, All Saints Day today. To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. I'm an ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I'm a fully professed brother with the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. I'm a team member of Society of St. Benedict and co-founder of GhostBegone.biz. On that note, if there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there to visit, there's a lot of cool things to see. Both my books are there, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, and God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2. And you can get the books a little less expensive on Amazon, and they also come in an audio version. But if you purchase them off the website, they leave my office here. I autograph them and enclose them in a beautiful house blessing kit, which may come in handy for some of you. And the beautiful thing about that is part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my books off of the website goes to support stjude.org and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So how cool is that? You help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. It's a beautiful thing. What else is on my website? My online course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. This is the course like none other out there. Instructor, me, and this is the course for all you true warriors for Christ out there that feel a calling and a longing to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, putting up a good fight, perhaps the fight of your life against true evil, if it ever comes calling, God forbid. That's the course for you. You can enroll there on the website, or you can reach out to me. I'm easy to get a hold of, and talk to me a little bit about the course and see if it's right for you. It's a 12-week online college level course. All my graduates get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed items that you can only get from me. So that's there on the website. And there's also a place on the website where you can make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues, not paranormal, but spiritual. Having said that, remember, my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So trust me, brothers and sisters, I know times are tough. But if you notice the donate button on the website and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you, it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. That's for sure. Got a great show today. And another great thing about my Friday show is I have an awesome co host. You guys ready to meet her? You guys already know who she is. What can I say about her? She's a friend. I've known her forever. I love her. I respect her. She's the owner of Stellium Books. Brothers and sisters, please give a big, warm paranormal ministry family welcome to the one and only Annette Munich.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Shawn. Thank you for that great introduction. That really is nice. I appreciate that.
Well, listen, before I bring out our very special guests, do you have any announcements? I think you do have an announcement to make, and we might even, you can show them now or show it later or just say hi to everybody, and we can do whatever you want to do.
we'll say hi, everybody. And then I did mention it before, so I'll show it because what I did was I ordered from Medjugorje some of the beads that are made out of the stones there at Apparition Hill. And,
I know they're going to be beautiful. I can't wait to see this.
and I also have cedar with them, and the cedar has a little fragrance. And cedar in the Bible represents strength, beauty, and resilience. And so I'm going to try and get it up to, can you see that? And
Yeah.
then it has a Christian fish. And the Christian fish, hold on, the Christian fish, in times when Christians were persecuted, if you came across someone and you drew that top part, and if they were okay to talk to you and they were Christian, they would draw that bottom part.
Oh, that's
And that
pretty
was
cool.
a signal of Christians finding each other.
That's
And
pretty
that's really beautiful. And the apparitions at Medjugorje in Bosnia, they started in 1981. Again, another story about children and children, seeing the Blessed Virgin. And still, Mariana, I believe, still gets messages to this very day. So a lot of pilgrims travel there. And so the lighter colored beads are the stones, and then the little bit darker, that's cedar wood.
Oh,
And
those are beautiful.
I tried to do something that would look okay for men or women.
Oh, yeah.
It's not
Either way, yeah.
very natural looking. So I'm going to be having these for like $20. And some of the money will go to Father Shawn. And also, we're going to do a giveaway.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Next month during the holidays, we're going to do a
And
giveaway of two things. That your bracelets. I don't know how many. Even if it's just one, that's plenty. I know you planned on giving away maybe at least one or more bracelets. You also sent me some incense, some frankincense and myrrh incense, which I've already blessed, and we plan to give away boxes of the blessed incense over the holidays too, which is cool.
yes, and I hope people really like that as a Christmas. Just a nice blessed incense for your home. And it doesn't have to be Christmas, of course, for that, because especially some of the people that ask us about paranormal problems, they might like to have that in their house and always have that around, a little bit of that around. It's a very good thing to have. And the Medjugorje bracelets, they blessed the beads at the church there before they sent to me.
I
So
knew you were going to do a good job on those. That's a beautiful bracelet. I
you
can't wait
like
to see
that?
more of them. Yeah, yeah, it's
I
awesome. I can't wait to get mine.
and I have
You know,
these.
I'm a bracelet guy.
I know you're a bracelet guy, and I have these. These might be a little harder to show because they're little, but this is a Christmas bracelet, and they're made out of Italian Millefiori glass.
Oh, cool.
So some of them are sideways, and some of them you could see it straight on. But I got these Christmas beads, and these are not blessed, but we could give away one of these at Christmas time, and I could send it just to Father Shawn, and he could bless it before it gets mailed out to you. But these are very. Why do I have trouble with cameras? I mean, I really like get confused or something. I get lost all the time too. By the way, maybe that's linked. I get
That's a
lost in a hospital. I end up in a gift shop. How do I
yeah.
know how I got there? I don't even know. I'm just wandering around like. But these are. I wanted to make something very sort of old-fashioned Christmas.
Those
And
are
I
beautiful.
love these Italian Millefiori beads. And these are not as expensive. Um, they're nice, but these Medjugorje beads coming from Bosnia, that was more expensive. And then, when we sell some, we can get more supplies if people like them and
Absolutely.
keep making them. No
Absolutely.
reason not to. So I think those are really special. And if anybody's interested, sometimes on YouTube, I watch a channel called Tom Medjugorje, and he does a tour like he's just walking around. He walks down the streets and he goes up Apparition Hill. And there's like two levels to it. You can go up higher, and all the pilgrims that go there and they're praying, and it's really beautiful. We got somebody right now in the chat room that says I lived in Medjugorje, Bosnia.
Oh, wow.
Let's show him. We got Linda. We got Carrie Lynn. Carrie Lynn said those are beautiful, and I thank you. We got Allie, New Orleans. Very nice people saying hello. So
Very cool.
we appreciate your comments.
Well, should we go ahead and announce, bring our two guests out? Because I know everybody in the chat rooms, the many chat rooms, will enjoy it. Should I make the big announcement? Tell
Yes,
you
you
what, I'll do a very simple, brief bio on each of them and see if you can guess who they are.
okay.
Okay, one of them is a lifelong paranormal experiencer, and that makes this person, in my humble opinion, a bit of an authority on the topic. And this person is also involved in a lot of other things in the paranormal field. Um, just she's a I already gave it away. I said she. She's a total package, in my opinion. She's also an artist. And the other guest, he's been seeing ghosts since he was young. Started ghost busting when he was about 10. About 20 plus years ago, started his own team. It's been very successful and has helped a lot of people with that extra unwanted guest in the house that they want to kick out of. People don't want around any longer. Um, Also, a bit of an authority, I would say, on the topic of everything supernatural, if you will, because boots on the ground experience for many years. So, can you guess who they are?
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like you and me. And it sounds
Ta-da!
like,
It's us.
it
I
sounds
know.
like the sad news that our guest got the flu and could not come today.
I know. I want. They feel bad. The Booth brothers were scheduled to be here today. Philip and Christopher. They both have the flu. They both feel bad. We feel bad. But I promise you all that I will try to get them back as soon as possible. Probably won't happen till early next year, but I will continue to reach out to them, see how they're feeling, how they're doing, and invite them back. So they will. I will get them on. I promise you. But they just got back from. First of all, they're two of the busiest people on the planet. All they do is travel.
Right.
And I hear this from a lot of my friends that do a lot of traveling for their careers. They're always fighting the colds and the flu and COVID. And it's just, or jet lag in general, just, you know, and it is what it is. That's the downside of having to travel a lot. But they just got back from traveling to Michigan for a big paranormal event, and they both came down with the flu. So it is what it is. But this gives me a chance to make another announcement to everybody, and we were going to wait probably another month to make this announcement, but I'm going to go ahead and do it today. We've been noticing as the show is very young here. My show isn't young, but it's young here on United Public Radio Network. We've noticed that the chat rooms are getting more and more crowded, and we realize that Annette and I aren't paying the kind of attention to the chat rooms that we would like to. And that also is what it is because, we have guests on where we want, to introduce our guests and have them talk and interview them and all that. And it takes away from us being able to just pay attention solely on the chat rooms. So we decided beginning the first Friday in January 2025 and continuing on for every first Friday after that, we're going to have a very special once a month thing here on the show called First Fridays with Annette and Father Shawn, where the guests will be you all, the viewers, and the people that tune into the show. It'll be an open mic, all chat rooms open, one-on-one Q&A with Annette and I and all of you, and that's all we will do that whole hour is just take questions from the chat room. Feel free to tell a little story or ask a question or comment on something, make friends with other people in the chat rooms, do whatever you guys want to do. But those first Friday shows will just be Annette and I entertaining the people in the chat room and helping out any way we can with that. So today turns out to, you know, be basically a dry run of that show because it's just all of you guys. It's just you guys and us today. So the chat rooms are open if you have any question for Annette or I, or you want to tell a little story or make a comment or whatever. What I did, we're going to do the prayer urn real quick. Then I didn't take any questions. Well, I did. I took all the questions out of the mailbag, and instead of answering most of them and leaving one or two for the show, I just put them all on the desk here. We can answer all those questions today live. And then I thought I would do something else interesting. People are always reaching out to me saying, Rev, how can I want to be a ghost hunter, a paranormal investigator, a ghostbuster. How do I go about doing it? What's that like? Or I know you help a lot of people. You're not so much into going to the commercial locations, but you help people. Residential haunts. What's that like? I want to be a demonologist. I want to be an exorcist. So I decided to reach out to four of my recent clients and asked them if I could talk about their cases live here on the show, and they agreed as long as I didn't give out their names. So I pulled four cases right off the top of the list. If we have time, I can introduce those cases to you all, and I welcome all and any opinions, even opinions from people that don't know anything about the paranormal. Sometimes looking at those problems through a different lens, a different pair of eyes, the babe in the woods, if you will.
Right.
Sometimes those people give good insight and good opinions too. So after we do all the questions, if we have time for case review, I'll do some of that, and that's part of being a paranormal investigator. So, are you ready for the prayer urn?
I'm very ready. And, Father Sean's books, God Ghosts and Paranormal Ministry, are full of, they're just really case histories. And the stories in there are absolutely, I think it's the scariest books that I put out for. I said the first one was the scariest book, and then you came up with another one. But
And I'm working on a third one.
oh, are you? That's awesome. Those stories are like pretty much. I can recall them all. I was so into it. I'm like, oh my God, what is going to happen next? They're so unpredictable. Nobody could ever imagine all of this stuff that
Many of the stories in those two
transpired.
books are still being talked about by many colleagues of mine in these behind the scenes exorcism circles of colleagues of mine because I've experienced some of the types of things that nobody in this field has seen or experienced. And it's good for us to have these think tanks, these spiritual and
Right.
exorcist think tanks about many of these things. I had some close friends that I've known all my life reach out to me the other day. They felt they needed to apologize to me for not buying my books. And I laughed and I said, why would you feel you need to apologize for me? Well, because we want to support the ministry, so we're going to send you a donation instead. And I go, out of curiosity, why didn't you they go, well, we heard that your first book was haunted. There's a page in there where I have a picture of a spirit that Sharon and I caught out in the desert at an old historic haunted location. The docents there invited us to come out to this historic site, see if we can contact this one spirit or apparition there. And that apparition ended up following us home. And we've seen it here in the house many times. But I sent many people that bought that first book reached out to me afterwards and said that since the book arrived in the home, they saw that same apparition in their home. Well, when I came out with that story, it freaked out a lot of people. And they were like, well, last thing I need in my house is a haunted book. So I'm going to skip on book one. Not everybody had that experience, but I thought it was my responsibility to at least throw it out there to people. If you buy book one, God Goes to the Paranormal Ministry, it may come with a surprise. I can't guarantee yes or no, but I needed to tell people that. And then many people said, well, if book two is even scarier and book one may be haunted, I can't handle the scary stuff because people hear me say, sometimes people buy my book and they go, you have any advice? And I go, don't read it alone, don't read it at night, and pray before you read it and pray after you read it. And that sometimes freaks people out. It is what it is. I just got to be honest with people. Read, the cover of the book, read the back of the book, and you know what you're getting. And you know me. Um, I'm going to hit you right between the eyes with brutal honesty about the things I've seen and experienced. And put it this way: the series I was on, Eli Roth Presents the Legion of Exorcists, there were stories I told them that they said we can't even put that on screen.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised
Um,
at all.
uh, so it is what it is. But
I'd like to ask Infinite Joy because she said I've read both of his books. Do you think my description is accurate? Do you think that um, his story accounts are very scary and unpredictable? I'm interested in how she um, felt about the books after reading because I mean, I'm his publisher and I do books all the time and I'm like, oh,
and
oh my,
you too experienced, well,
yeah,
not just with my books, many of the books
yeah.
that you've edited and published are paranormal novels, and including mine. And while you've done these books, you too have experienced a lot of paranormal activity in your office there in your office doing this stuff. So
Well,
I
I
want to
think
let people know one more thing real quick. I maybe one or two people have reached out to me that got the book off of Amazon that had some issues. But most of the people got the books from me from my office where they bought them off the website, and they're books that have sat here for a while in my office. I live in a haunted house, so they've some of them probably have absorbed some energy and some attachments, and
what I
but I
think
press all the books when they leave here, so everything's cool.
what I think happens with me is, and some books are nothing. It's not always that something happens, but I think that there are um, spirits, human and non-human, that don't want these stories to go out, especially in the realm of spiritual warfare, where it's not just a story being told. There's prayers and there's, people describing the things that are done to remedy the situation. And I think that they don't like that going out in the world. Here comes Infinite Joy answering the question I asked. I read them on Kindle and I was happy with the photos weren't very clear because they would have terrified me. I thought the stories were amazing as in shocking, stranger than fiction. Yeah, and you know what's interesting to throw in for a second? One of the most difficult things about the paranormal is that as human beings, we might think, well, um, I had a case something like this, or somebody had a case something like this. And hello, Michelle. And so then you get things going down the line, and it's easy to think, oh, this is like this. But that can be a wrong jump to make because while you're trying to learn and understand, um, everything isn't as predictable as that. Even if something seems like it's kind of like something else, you can throw yourself into a bad spot by making any assumptions. Not too much. And we got a question: will there be season 2 of Legion of Exorcists? And my friend Berta's here. I have to do a heart for Berta.
That's an
Berta.
interesting, that's an interesting question because everybody involved in the show put their heart, blood, sweat, and tears into the show. We're all proud of it, regardless of whether it goes to season two or not. I feel I can speak for everybody involved, from the um, production company to the Travel Channel people to the Eli Roth people and Eli himself. We're all proud of it. I just recently spoke with the director on that show, who said it's it's talked about a lot around the Travel Channel water cooler, if you will. Um, so we don't know. Um, it hasn't been officially canceled, but it hasn't been officially greenlit, so we don't know. But we would all love to see it go to a season two. I've got a lot more stories to tell.
And the show
Maybe,
did do well, and it got a lot of positive response. But then there was the writer's strike, and it kind of slowed the momentum of everything that was going on.
and right when the show aired, there was the a big change in the network. They merged with like
oh yeah,
Max
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Discovery Plus, and
Right,
there's a big merger thing that went on. So there was a lot going on.
right. So kind of like a little flurry of confusion around all of that. There's my friend.
Hi, Roberta.
John, we used to waitress back in the day in Chicago. Yes, we did, she and I.
Well, if we're going to talk about some of this stuff, I think it's time for a prayer.
Okay.
This request comes from Laurel C. in New Jersey.
Hi,
Wow.
Laurel.
I was raised in New Jersey and I haven't heard from anybody from there in a long time. Hi, Laurel. We live in such a scary time now. Indeed. Evil seems to be everywhere. Rumors of violence after the upcoming election. Um, on the horizon, World War III. Such hatred for one another. Please pray for help from above. That's a beautiful, beautiful request, Laura, and you're going to make me cry. It's plain and simple, guys. You know, if you have to pull up the Beatles song, All We Need Is Love, after the show's over, do that. Um, because that is all we need. It's all about love and humility, forgiving, forgiving each other, turning the other cheek, praying for our enemies, and getting God back into humanity, because humanity has gotten away from that a bit over the past 20 years, I've noticed, and that's why things are the way they are. But I'm going to try and find a beautiful prayer here to offer up for all of us. And when we're done here, I'll go into my room and light a candle for humankind. Here we go. This is a beautiful one. The act of dedication of the human race to Christ the King. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Most sweet Jesus, Redeemer of the human race, look down upon us humbly prostrate before you. We are yours, and yours we wish to be, but to be more surely united with you. Behold, each one of us freely consecrates himself today to your most sacred heart. Many indeed have never known you. Many, too, despising your precepts, have rejected you. Have mercy on them all, most merciful Jesus, and draw them to your sacred heart. Be King, O Lord, not only of the faithful who have never forsaken you, but also of the prodigal children who have abandoned you. Grant that they may quickly return to their father's house, lest they die of wretchedness and hunger. Be king of those who are deceived by erroneous opinions, or whom discord keeps aloof, and call them back to the harbor of truth and the unity of faith, so that soon there may be but one flock and one shepherd. Grant, O Lord, to your church assurance of freedom and immunity from harm. Give tranquility of order to all nations. Make the earth resound from pole to pole with one cry. Praise to the divine heart that wrought our salvation. To it be glory and honor forever. Amen.
Amen.
That goes out to all of us, including you, Laurel, and I will light a candle for all of us after the show. No need to
Perfect
check the
timing on that
prayer.
one.
No need to check the mailbag. I got all the questions here that I've received this past couple of weeks. So, uh, yeah,
Here's
times are scary.
another fan of the show, Jason Govea. I
Hi,
enjoyed
Jason.
Legion of Exorcists. Looking forward to a new series.
Well, I'll tell you. A lot of people also ask me, how can we help get a second season? You can go to the Travel Channel website, and there's a place to leave comments there. You can do that. Another fan some time ago, and I haven't checked on the petition in a while. You know that what is it, Make a Difference or petitions.org or something like that? There's some type of very well known, popular place where you put together petitions, online petitions for stuff. And somebody put Renew Legion of Exorcists for a season two petition on there. It's got a lot of signatures. You can always go there and sign it, it's free. But we'll just keep our fingers crossed and see, or maybe a spin off series in the works or something. There's a lot of things going on that I can't talk about either. So, and I'm big on not wanting to jinx stuff. So I should probably stop talking because I know me. I always give away things that I'm not supposed to give away. So anyway, let's start with something else. Since it was Halloween yesterday and today's All Saints Day, you probably didn't expect me to bring this up, but let's start before I get to the questions with you seeing an apparition with your daughter
Yes.
driving the other day. Tell us about
Yes.
that.
We were driving home. It was dark, and we came around a curve in the road. So you couldn't see it until you were actually going around the curve. And we saw an apparition of a man. And I said to my daughter, because I don't always know if somebody else saw it or not. That's the way some of these things are. Just because you saw it doesn't mean everybody saw it. So I said, if I just saw something, do you want me to tell you? And she said, I saw it too. I just saw a man standing there. And we knew for sure it was an apparition because he was semi-transparent and he was only from like the hips up. He had no legs. And he was looking at us. And his eyes were just white. He had a plaid shirt. Um, he did not feel scary to me. It was just kind of the little stunning thing of seeing someone stand on the side of the road like that, or I should say, floating on the side of the road like that. And, immediately I said we should say a prayer for him because maybe he had an accident and died here, curve in the road, bad weather, something happened. But he didn't feel scary. And I mean, that's a weird thing with the paranormal is that if you tell your stories like you have in your book, this could lead into you. What I'm reading or what I'm hearing, or if I'm telling stories and people are hearing me, what they might think are the scariest stories, they might be surprised at which ones actually were, because like the feel of the whole thing around the incident is part of it. Like that man, although that's a little stunning to see, he didn't feel the slightest bit scary, didn't look in the rearview mirror, didn't hit the brakes or anything like that. He had the energy of kind of sad, like poor unfortunate, like, oh my God, what happened to you. But my daughter said, I saw it too. I saw that man. But that was just maybe a week ago at about 9 o'clock at night, nobody else on the road. So, and it's so interesting to me too. Another thing that I'll throw in there, a lot of times people, I don't know how they think this, but they're like, they think all ghosts are in houses or in buildings. They don't think there's ghosts outside. They just think, well, you go outside and that's it. Just don't be inside. The place is haunted, come outside because you're okay outside. There's nothing outside. And that is, not to scare anyone, but so completely untrue. But people, I don't even know why they ever got that idea, but they do. They think it's like this building and that's it. And oh, I'll say something else before I ask you what your scariest experience was, because I think people would love to know, especially some of these people who have read your books. Um, um, yeah, full
Hi, Linda.
apparitions. Full apparitions, that's a little bit less common. To actually see the apparitions, a lot more common to hear something, um, see something like for a moment, like snap, and then that's it. But I forgot where I was going with this totally.
Well, I'll
So
tell you, I'll give you I'll put my 2 cents in on that. You know
yeah,
what's interesting about roads? People talk about ley lines. I don't know if a road or some roads can be considered in a type of ley line. I have seen apparitions on the roadsides before. Um, and this reminds me of a time when I was very young. Me and a couple of other friends took a trip up. I was still living in Southern California at the time, and we took a trip up a Pacific Coast Highway, and it was hours and hours of a drive ahead of us to go see the Hearst Castle.
ooh,
And we stopped for a hitchhiker along the side of the road on the way up. And when the hitchhiker got to us, we all three saw looked like a real person. We pulled over. We all watched this person walk up to the car. And as the person reached for the car handle, they vanished. Well,
oh,
that freaked us all out so bad. We canceled the trip. We U-turned and headed back. We never made it to the castle. Um, so, and I hear people all the time talk about hitchhiking ghosts.
oh yeah,
Um,
creepy hitchhiker stories. That's like right.
yeah, yeah, that's you never know what you're going to do or how you're going to feel until you experience that. Um, I would imagine we wouldn't have stopped if this apparition looked like a ghost. We probably
Right,
would have just did what you and your daughter did, but we look like a real person.
right.
So that's very rare too. These totally solid. And I've actually talked, and I could be crazy. Many people think I'm crazy, and I could be. That's why I talk to probably 3 times a year um, a psychiatrist, and more than that, a good friend who's a clinical psychologist who's known me all my life. Because the last thing you need in your home is a crazy exorcist if you need one to come see you. So I do that to check my own senility, if you will.
Right.
But I've talked to people who ended up not being there afterwards, and I just kind of go, you know, what was that all about? And I've always been confused if it's a spirit or some angelic being
Yeah.
appearing to me to give me a message or talk to me. And they weren't a disembodied human spirit at all. It was an angelic being from above.
Right.
So it's an interesting thing. But I have a theory that you and your daughter both are maybe not full blown psychic mediums in the in
See,
the
this
real sense, but you guys are gifted, and that's why you saw that.
this is something in my family because I would say it's all my children, and even like my son had a lot of activity in this one house that he was living in. It was crazy how much activity he had, and no denying it, and no like, oh, maybe it's the wind. No, nothing like that. Just like really full blown. And so, but I do believe that that can be generation to generation to some degree, and it doesn't have to be everybody. So yeah, but that's interesting. Back in Chicago, I love to talk about the old days, and I love to talk about Chicago back in the day, and that's me. But a really popular story that I think a lot of people have heard, and Berta, she'll know this story, Resurrection Mary, the Resurrection Cemetery on Archer Avenue. And that's one of those creepy hitchhiker stories. And sometimes you don't even have to stop. She just appears in your back seat.
That's not good.
Now we can all stop and let the hair on the back of our necks go back down, but you just see like this girl all dressed up because there used to be a really nice dance hall there, and people would go there. And she's all dressed up in her dancing, gown, and looks real. And people that pull over to give her a ride, she'll give them an address and they'll take her home. And there's a story, it might be urban legend, but you can go there and see there's people that saw her pulling on the bars on the cemetery gate, and the bars are like pulled apart and like finger dents. So
Wow.
that's a fun part of it too. And then this one guy says he took her home and then went back the next day because he gave her his jacket because
Uh-huh.
she was cold. And the woman said, my daughter's been dead for, all these years, blah, blah, blah. And that she's buried there. And apparently the jacket was on her grave. So that's another, right? Be like, that's okay. You can keep it, right? It's yours now. I don't want that jacket back. But that legend has been going for years and years and years and years. And it's even sometimes creepy at night driving down Archer Avenue past, and the cemetery's humongous. Here's my friend Berta. Lots of people claim she is there. I remember all those stories. Now that's if that's not enough, that same cemetery has screaming mausoleums.
Whoa.
It sounds like people are screaming inside. It's just not
Well,
fun.
you know what that reminds me of? I told you I wanted you to try and do the best you can to maybe research that area of the road,
Yeah,
see if somebody was murdered and dumped there, or hit by a car and died, or a fatality in a car wreck or
yeah.
something. I also asked you to reach out to Susan Ahern. She's really good at tapping into. If you tell her a story, she can tap into you and then see what she sees. Having said that, Susan had something very. First of all, I'm no expert. I don't have all the answers, and I'm going to get hate mail for this. But I don't think there are any experts out there. No one has all the answers. We're gonna you and I are gonna be having this conversation with the same audience one day up in heaven, and we'll laugh then about all the things that we know then that we don't know now. But she had this strong psychic experience passing by a house that she'd never seen before or passed by before. And it was so strong that it made her stop and get out and walk up and knock on the door. She didn't know why, but she just knew. And for those of you that don't know Susan Ahern, she's the happy medium in Cape Cod. Very one of the truly gifted psychic mediums I know. She knocked on this door, and the person that answered the door went, "What are you doing here?" And she went, "Excuse me, I've never seen this home before, been here before in my life." Apparently, here we go, the doppelganger theory. And my
Oh,
wife,
that's creepy. Doppelgangers.
this lady said Susan had come to her home a couple of days before that and did the
Wow.
same thing, knocked on the
Wow.
door, seemed lost, and then just left.
Oh, wow.
So, and Sharon sees me right here at this desk in this computer in this office many times working away, and she'll think to herself, "Well, he looks busy. I don't want to bug him, but now I know I can go use the master bathroom. He's not in there." And she'll sneak in there and she'll go to the master bathroom. She's got her own bathroom, but like her bathroom has something that mine don't have, and my bathroom has some things hers don't have. So she'll go to mine sometimes. She opened the door, and I know this is TMI, but there I am in the bathroom, going to the bathroom. She goes, "Wait a minute, I just saw you in the office." Well, when we went back to look, before we even got to the office, that apparition that's in my first book on that I spoke about earlier, we see her come out of the office. So my doppelganger turns into this apparition that walks through the house and out the back door. And when my dogs were still here and alive, my dogs would be lounging on the bed, and they would see the same apparition. They'd follow her with their eyes as she went out, or she or he. It's a child. I can't really tell if it's a male or female, you that have bought the book. And matter of fact, I'll show her. I can tell everybody's like, show us the picture. This is from the book, so it's not super clear. It's the bottom picture.
Yeah.
Can you see her there? I'm up on a ladder and I sense her in the room with me. And I didn't see her at the time when I snapped the photo, and it was later on when I reviewed the photo, we saw her there. Solid enough to cast its own reflection. But when I took the photo of it, it appeared like um, tiling, like cloaking, like the predator.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was just a weird anomaly. I didn't think nothing of it. But the high def full spectrum camera that I had caught her apparition. But we see that apparition in the home here. So the doppelganger theory, I don't know, I don't have a clue what that's all about. Many in my field think it's demonic in nature because there's, the imitation. You hear your voice, you hear your wife's voice calling you, or the wife hears her husband's voice calling her, or you see your husband, or you see your wife, or your best friend somewhere, and it's not them. A very few people, I haven't seen my own doppelganger here, only Sharon has, but we both have seen the apparition. So
Can you imagine if you were walking around your house and you went around the corner and saw yourself?
I don't know. I can't tell you what I would think. You would think I wouldn't freak, but I'm only human. Who knows what I would think seeing that. So maybe we'll do a show one day on just doppelgangers and how maybe we have alternate realities and they bleed through that. The different realities bleed into one another from time to time. I don't know. Um,
Oh my, two scariest stories from your book are the old folks home and the gypsy carnival.
since I had that experience at the I think I call that story the Carnival of Souls or Soul Carnage Carnival.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Carnage.
that traveling carnival has not been back here since that time. So I'm wondering if it was all a setup. And I don't want to give away what I find the most amazing part of that story was the gentleman that met me at a restaurant to tell me about his carnival and needed my help. And what ended up happening with my relationship with this person, I think is the most amazing part of that story. But that was very scary.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like carnivals in the first place. Don't send me hate mail, carnies, all you carnies out there. But I get freaked out a little bit about carnivals anyhow. So that was a weird one. Um, but yeah, that would make it that whole story. And my stories are short. I've chronologized everything down into they're longer than short stories, but they're not. I mean, I could almost probably make a novel if I really sat down and had the patience of each story. But
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Right.
So I didn't. But there's a lot of things that I leave out that maybe I feel is not important to the story. Then I don't want to beat people over the head with nonsense. So I try to get to the point. Um, but yeah,
And you have
that's
like a Native American werewolf type story.
oh well, you know me. I've got Seneca Wyandotte Indian blood traveling through me, so I'm really into the indigenous stories. I've met a lot of wonderful holy people from various tribes. Um, I guess the most popular discussion we have is do we pray to the same God? Is your great father my God? That always opens up a can of worms and we get into some discussions. I've been to a couple of authentic sweat lodge ceremonies where I'll admit it, one I did take some peyote. So who knows Who knows what that was all about? But I've seen some things during that. But yeah, that one story that I wrote about, and there's a couple of other stories that took place on reservations that I haven't even told people yet. Because a lot of my stories, sometimes I get to them and I have the same effect that those people at the Travel Channel had. I can't tell that story. Even to this day, there's stories that I have when I revisit them and start getting back into that mindset of where I was at that time and reading my notes and thinking back. Sometimes I go, no, I'm not ready for it. It's like ripping the scab off an old wound. And sometimes once I've brought closure or not to that situation and moved on, sometimes it's difficult to revisit it. And I'm also always paranoid about adding energy to that stuff. Once I've laid something to rest, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
I don't want to reopen that and give that energy. That's why you'll very rarely see me studying about demons or mentioning demons' names live on air, especially or even to another person that I'm talking to in the real person. I very rarely do that because that can be dangerous too. I remember um, it was. You know what? I'm going to show another picture. Here's one that I even think's worse. This is a picture. Okay, you guys, everybody buckle up for this one. If you haven't already seen this picture, and you guys are going to have a hard time seeing it. It's the top photo. There's a staircase there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if you can see what's at the top of the staircase. It is a heavy set person with no head, hands, or feet floating across the top of the staircase. And another thing for all you people that want to be a paranormal investigator and help people out with their problems at home. Good thing I was when I was standing at the top of those stairs and showed the woman who owned that home that photo, she fainted, and if I wasn't there to catch her, she would have fallen down the stairs and gotten really hurt.
Oh,
She had
wow.
seen the thing before, but it was she was hit over the head with a bat of emotion seeing the photograph of it. I would imagine the emotions ranged from I'm not crazy and that proves it to now people will believe me to oh my god. It isn't my imagination. I almost wish it was because now this thing in my home I'm seeing is real. Um, those are, I am also very careful about. Sometimes I don't show the client certain evidence I've caught. I dance around it a little bit and try to wink, wink. I think you need my help. Let me come back and do this. You know, um, but sometimes I don't show people certain things because it's just. Well, anyway, long story short, I sent that photo to a private Facebook group that's nothing but gifted people and psychic mediums. There's thousands of people in this group, and I shared that photo when I first got it for people to give me their feedback. Oh my gosh, did I get in trouble? So many people in that group got violently ill because of the
Wow.
psychic energy that came off that photo. You got because they're very gifted psychic mediums, got so ill from seeing that photo. Many people in that group got upset with me for even showing that posting that photo in the group. I felt so bad. I ended up leaving the group because I was embarrassed and I felt so bad that I left the group because you just got
Wow.
to be careful with giving energies to these things or things that may be attached, energies that may be attached to even something as simple as a photo or a book or articles. Oh my gosh, the hour flew by. We've only got a few
This
minutes
is
left.
crazy. And we were wondering, we're like, do you think this will work? We have stuff to talk about, right? We didn't even do a question from the mailbag, which we usually do. We didn't
I
do
know.
any talking about the cases.
I got like 9 of them right here on my desk. We'll do this again. Like I said, I know you're going to put together an awesome banner advertising First Fridays with Annette and Father Shawn coming January of 2025. and we would just unless the chat rooms aren't that crowded, and they may not be. Um, you and I will have a chat like this, but if they're crowded, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and
Well, this was really
and just answer
interesting.
questions and let people talk
And
to it.
it was really interesting how we talked the people into the book and then talked them right back out of buying the book. That was a skill right there.
You know what can you say? Are you ready? Next week's guest, I think you're really gonna like this girl. I was on her show. I had a wonderful time. She's very interesting. She's had her own paranormal team forever. She's very respected in the paranormal community in her area. She's from California. She's also a writer, and she's the host of California Haunts Radio. Charlotte Cosa will be here next
Very,
Friday, November 8th.
very cool.
So, anything you want to say to me before I kick you out of here? Any besides the bracelets? Take some pictures of the bracelets,
Take some
send them
pictures.
to me so I can post them,
Okay.
put them on your Facebook page too, and
Okay.
let's start getting pictures of them out there and talking about them more and
And
all
I'd
that.
be happy if, we sell some because, like I said, some money can go to you. I'll buy more materials. I don't mind making them at all. I have a good time making them. I enjoy it. So if anybody wants something, send a message and we'll get you fixed up. And that's about it for me, I guess.
Well, I forgot to tell you how pretty you look today. You look
Thank
very
you.
pretty. Tell your daughter I said hi. My your son-in-law and your daughter are always in my prayers because I
Thank
know
you.
they're having issues too. I pray for you guys all the time. Um,
And my son in law is cancer free and he does not need any more treatments.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. You know I love you. I respect you. I can't wait to see you next Friday. I'm excited for next year when we have these that start with the first Fridays with Annette and Father Shawn. It's going to be very cool. Have a wonderful remainder to your All Saints Day, and God
Who's
bless
your
you.
favorite saint, real quick?
Oh, I don't want to make any of them upset with me. St. Jude's an old friend. He's saved my life. St. Francis, because most of my adult life I've worked in the animal care industry. Um, so those have to be at the top. But I was baptized under St. Patrick as my
Sure.
guardian saint, and I was ordained a priest on St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Beautiful.
So he's a biggie. He's a biggie. So I would have to go with those three. How about you?
Padre Pio. Love
Good
him.
choice. All right, Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books. God bless you. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night. Annette Munich, Stellium Books. If you are an author or an old author, and I mean that in terms of writing, not age, and you want to publish a book, reach out to Annette. She's been my publisher. She's published most of my books. She'll publish my third book when I finally get it done. So it is what it is. Thank you to United Public Radio Network for 107.7 FM New Orleans for carrying the show. God bless Michelle DeRoche for making that happen. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in because I don't have a show without you guys, and I mean that. So God bless each and every one of you. Remember, brothers and sisters, we may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace. Happy All Saints Day.